together. I just pray that you bless this session, that you allow it to just touch millions one day. And I just thank you for this just time and a moment, all that you've done for me and Donna leading up to this point. I pray that you cover us, bless us, and everyone who's playing their part. In Jesus' name, amen.
What's up? What's up? It's your girl Donna LJ, and get tuned into Indie High Radio.
Indie High. Let's go.
Yes, so we are at our next episode, and I'm so excited because I have someone that's super, 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 super special to me.
Oh.
To the point where I call them my little bro, because that's how special they are to me. But they're doing some amazing, awesome things, and it's an honor for me to have them on Indie High Radio today. So I just wanted to warn you guys, this is going to be a dope, awesome, amazing show, so just be prepared for that. But anyway, enough of me talking. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Oh man, I'm humbled. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Indie High. My name is Nashbi. I'm an artist from Atlanta. Just dropped my newest album, The Glory Project. It just dropped on September 15th. Just came back fresh out of London, fresh out of New York. We're pausing right now, gearing up for the Bahamas in October. It's that time. So we're here. We're just doing a press run, and we had to stop by Indie High. We just came out of Premier Gospel Radio. We did a TV interview in New York. So for Atlanta, we had to go to Indie High first to hit the press run for the project. So I'm so happy to be here. Donna's has been a role model and a big sis for me for years. Wow. When your boy was just starting to, well, I've been rapping, I think, when I met you, but when I really started to, before all the you could say the success really started to show, Donna was right there from the beginning. So you and your family mean so much to me. So I'm so happy to be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you a good intro. You gave me one. I appreciate that. No, it's definitely an honor and a long time coming, because I've told you for a while, you got to come on the show. You got to come on the show.
Got you.
Shout out to Gab. Gabby made this happen. She was like, okay, let's set the date and time and get it done. And here we are. Yeah. And I know it's divine
shout out to
timing.
Gabby.
Yeah, shout out to Gab. I know it's divine timing, so I'm super excited to have you here so that we can talk about the amazing things that God is doing in your life, your project, and just shine your light more and more. So with that being said, this project is amazing. Okay. Wow. Now, with that, you have an amazing production team. Because everything is banging, every track is going in, and then having your content on top of that, your lyrics, the words, every single word is powerful. It's you're literally preaching in each song, but it's inspirational, it's encouraging. You're keeping it a buck, you're being genuine, you're being 100. And that's amazing. But before we get into you, let's shout your team out, because they did an amazing job in that production.
Yes. Absolutely. So once again, shout out Gabrielle. But I got to give a big major shout out to Ice Pop, my brothers Mark and Court. Appreciate you guys, man, so much. Mark and Court, Poetic Jr. Poetic got 2 placements on this project. He did Promised Land and Martinelli Cider.
Yes.
Ice Pop, that's Mark and Court. They did the rest of the 8 tracks. And shout out to Young Zoe too. He's actually in the room right now, so shout out to Young Zoe.
Shout out to Young Zoe.
He got a placement on the project. Pretty much arranged. He's been good, which is going crazy right now.
Yes.
So shout out to him. Johannes. Shout out to the features on the album.
Yes.
Rebla, Shervin, 3ZF Johnny, my younger brother. I had to shout out everybody involved. I hope I'm not forgetting nobody. Forgive me.
Yes.
But
Yes. Shout out to the whole squad, because y'all did your thing.
Yo.
This album is banging. And I think what I appreciate the most about your album is that it's authentically you. It's not you trying to be someone or trying to portray a certain sound. It's just you being you. And if anyone has the privilege to just have a conversation with you, just a one-on-one heart-to-heart, then the album hits even harder, because it's wow, he's literally just being himself, but he's just a beautiful artist with it. Your artistry is amazing.
Wow.
It's I know you, but I was still he is going hard. I was just whoa.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of you. But what is, of course, God is your inspiration for the album, but what made you say now is the time to put out the Glory Project?
Whew. What a great question. Great question. I appreciate the love too.
Of course.
What man? So the Glory Project, it became time. Ironically, the first song that was written for the Glory Project was Forever.
Wow.
And Forever is like near the end of the album. And that song literally inspired everything.
Wow.
You know, there was just a point that I hit when things were going well. I think during that time, let's see, I think during that time we just dropped Chosen. A year prior to, we had dropped God Given back in 2021. And so Chosen we dropped in 2022. And once Chosen, I think God Given already started to get some hype. That was the first time we crossed like 10K plays on any song that was just like off of YouTube, that wasn't on YouTube, just on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple. I was like the first single to hit over 10K. And I remember being about at like 17K, and then we dropped Chosen. And when we did Chosen, that whole experience was crazy. I felt like I genuinely felt God's hand guiding me through that production. Like the more I said yes, God opened doors, you know, from down to my outfit to the studio that we rented out to shoot it. Shout out to Quality Lens. Can't forget Quality. So, you know, we shot that together with Poetic. That was the first placement me and Poetic had together. And after we did everything we could to push Chosen the best we could, that's when everything picked up. Chosen not only got itself like in the hands of some Spotify curators that work for Spotify, they went through my whole catalog and put on God Given and put on After All and put on a bunch of my records. And so here my records were on, you know, and ironically God Given being like, it was really my first like really big song about God, and it was a hip hop record, you know, but it was very God-centric, unapologetically God-centric. You know, because all my music is laced with God and the spirit. I always pray before I go in the studio. I feel like music is a spiritual experience. I feel like when you try to do music and you try to exclude God, you might leave portals open for other things, you know, and or, you know, it's just very, I feel like it's just, you got to be very mindful when you write. Because, you know, to me, it's a very spiritual experience. And so, but that song was like, nah, we're going to put God at the forefront. Like this message, this art, me as Nashbi, like God Given, you know what I mean? And it's so crazy how when we followed just the voice of God with Chosen, God Given opened up. And, you know, with God Given entered just this wave where they picked up, you know, everything. And now God Given's at like over 250,000 plays, thank God. And so as the hype was going on for that, I thought it was so crazy, almost in a sense of prophecy, how like as I was recording and writing the record, like the hook is like, welcome to the world that we created here. It's almost like I knew the song was going to be a flagship record, which I did, but I like wrote it, and it's just like, and I'm imagining that God Given was welcoming my fan base to like, yo, we're up now, welcome, have a seat, you know, welcome to the show, welcome to, you know, this journey that we're on, you know, I'm so glad you can make it. The world is dark, but I promise it's safer here. Like, come enjoy like great positive music where you can play this, blast this, and not in any environment and not feel like, oh, this is corny. And neither do you feel like, yo, this is like, you know, dangerous. It's like, nah, this is like healthy, positive, great music. We're going to build this fan base. And it's so crazy that ended up being the record to take things to the next level. So when I seen those results, I was like, yo, you know, we got to do something, because the numbers just started rolling in. So we're like, we got to put out an album. I mean, God Given was the EP. We did a single run. And I remember at that time, shout out to Russ. I met Russ not far from here, actually, a couple years back. And literally, like, I know he says in his interviews and stuff, artists don't put out an album unless you have a big fan base, this and the third. People down to listen to singles first, yada, yada. But I feel like, man, it's time to put out a body of work, because my only body of work is back from, you know, college, 2017, 328, which is still a classic. You know, I believe that project's still going to go crazy. It went crazy in its time, but I believe it's going to resurface one day and people are going to be like, yo, he was hard even back then. But I was like, I need something else to show that when people go to albums, they can click on first. And it's like, nah, we got to do it. And then there was just something in me that was like, yo, I want to tithe my career to God, you know, because I'm a hip hop artist unapologetically. You know, but I'm a Christian first, unapologetically. I'm a believer first, unapologetically. And I was like, yo, I got to tithe, you know, my career to God. You know, tithing is all about giving your first fruits, your best fruit. So not just your first, but the best of your fruit. And you want to make it big. You know what I mean? So I was like, yo, I gotta come in there and make a fire hip hop album that honors God. That's not cheesy. That's not corny. That's not weird. It doesn't make people cringe.
You literally did that.
Wow. I'm
Like you
humbled.
literally did that. Like I mean, when you put it in, you press play, it's like banging. Just like I'm in my BMW turning it up. I'm like, oh, this is banging. I'm
Wow.
like, roll it through, made my little traffic. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Like I was in there jamming, but that God is the center of your life, and that is reflected in your album.
Yeah.
And I love how you talk about the ups and downs, and you mentioned in your lyrics how there's people that aren't with you that may have started with you, but you wish them the best.
Yeah.
No love lost to them.
Right.
But it's like, hey, I wish y'all the best. I hope God blesses y'all. But we moving, we going up. You know what I mean?
Got to.
And I love that even though, you were told like, hey, don't put anything out unless you get that fan base, blah, blah, blah. You still, but I mean, to be honest, Nashbi, you've been out in these streets for a while. Like you've been performing, you've been doing things for years.
Yeah.
It's not like you just came on the scene, you know what I mean? But I think you're finally getting further recognition, because you already were getting recognized, but I think you're finally getting that further recognition. I feel like this album, if you wanted to set a foundation for your albums, this is it.
Wow.
This album is the album to be like, I am Nashbi. This is what I'm bringing to the table.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Mission accomplished. Thank God. That's what's up.
Yeah,
that.
It was awesome. Tell me how it was like in the studio sessions and just writing. Everything just flows. So like what was your like concept in the studio?
Yeah, so man, what a great question too. So pretty much with the guys, we decided, okay, how are we gonna make this album? We wanna tithe our career to God. We wanna, give our best, but we wanna make it hip hop. So that was like the biggest thing we wrote down. It was like no matter what song we create on this album, everything has to be hip hop centered, flavored. It has to have some aspects of it, so I that's why I hit up poetic is really fire when it comes to like that real soulful hip hop, that Tupac, that that J. Cole, Kendrick type hip hop, the greats, Jay-Z style beats, like that's what he's good for. So I hit him up, and but Ice Pop, man, they tapped into that soulful bag too.
I already know.
It went crazy. And so it was so much amazing production to choose from. But to be honest, it was almost like, some artists will make like 100 songs and pick the best to make an album. We almost created the album piece by piece and then arranged it. But I knew there were just a couple of things that I had to say, stories that I had to tell. And honestly, the album was therapy for me, because I was going through one of the darkest seasons of my life. Going through, I think I could be vulnerable a little bit, just a little bit with y'all. Was going through. Radio, baby. We got to, right? And I'm with my sis, so we got to get right. Yeah, I was going through like a really deep heartbreak with the separation of me and my ex, and we're good. There's always love, but that was just a hard season because I was convinced that was the one for me. And when I was going through that season, it was just a dark time. But meanwhile, I had to write the album. I was trying to find myself. I was finding Nashbi again as an individual. I think when you kind of find yourself on your own, there's this joy that you get of just being yourself. Then you get into a relationship, you don't lose that, but it shifts, and you have to start. It doesn't shift, but you actually have to start. Oh, what am I saying? God, can we cut that part out? Hopefully, I don't know.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Where was
I?
You're
trying to find yourself.
I was trying to find myself. I want to make sure I look at the camera more. That's what's going on. Lost my train of thought. But yeah, I ended up shifting, in the relationship where you're trying to find your joy as a person in a relationship with someone else. And when you lose that and when you go through a breakup, you got to find that individual joy again. And if you've been away from that for a long time, it can be hard to get back. And so the album was almost my vehicle, was my ship to get back on board. The album was like my way to get back on track, my way to just kind of find Nashbi again. And it was like my therapy. It was something that was therapeutic for me. It was something that was, like my healing, journey was the album in itself. Like God gave me the album to do many things in my life. Yeah. And yeah.
Now, as creatives, that's what we have to realize. I even had to learn that. Like for me as a creative, I do songwriting, whatever. But it's like my true venting and therapy is when I'm writing or if I'm doing poetry or whatever. Like that it's like when I'm able to be in that zone and in that space, I'm able to release comfortably. It's like if I'm trying to just talk to someone and tell them about the troubles of my life, you know, I may stumble, I may fumble, I may get lost in my words, but if I'm creating and in my creative space, then it hits different. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now I release. Like, even if I listen to my old stuff, I'm like, ooh, I remember when I was in that, you know, that space mentally there. And I was like, ooh, I remember what I was thinking, how I felt. And it's kind of like that testimonial of like, this is where I was, this is where I'm at now. So we're thankful that you were able to use that time of heartbreak to create such a beautiful project that's going to touch millions. It's going to touch lives. You know, you're planting positive seeds in a world where everyone's planting negative seeds intentionally, like just because it's cool and because it's funny and because it's hip. And you're intentionally trying to like feed people positive things and let people know that God is there. And I just think that that's so commendable, especially you're in your mid-20s. You could be doing anything you want, you know, anything, literally anything you want. The world is yours, right? But you're choosing to put God first and you're unapologetically, as you say. And I think that that is beautiful and it should be commended. So I want to make sure I give you your flowers.
That's love.
Because you're doing your thing.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you
with
so
that
much.
being said, I feel like you're one of those people that is beyond his time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that, you know, you're in your mid-20s, but you speak like you're a seasoned 50-year-old man. You know, like, and you surround yourself with people who are millionaires. You surround yourself with notable people who are doing big things. Let's talk about your circle in the sense of like, what made you at your young age decide like, I want to be surrounded by greatness at all times? You know, like what made you just kind of flip into that mindset?
Whoa. Can you ask that last sentence again?
Sure. What made you switch into that mindset of like, I want to make sure I'm surrounded by greatness? Because you have a lot of notable friends that are doing big things worldwide and especially here in Atlanta. Like some of the top people in Atlanta know you and who you are.
It's crazy.
You know, so it's like, how did you even like just get into the realm of like networking and meeting these people?
Wow. What a great question. I know I've said that a lot, but it's really genuine questions. I've done a lot of interviews and people really don't have like really great questions. You know, but yeah, I mean, that's such a great question because literally I've made that almost the centric part of me being Nashbi, is I'm drawn to, I don't know, it's a part of me that I feel like even is the source of me being very like I don't want to say like the opposite of like envy, right? Like I'm very inspired by people and being inspired by people reveals myself. It's almost like a mirror of like, especially if I see I can respect what people have that has nothing to do with me and just applaud. I love cheering for people.
Yes.
But then there's some people that's like, yo, you have a great and amazing quality that I want to develop in myself, or I see in myself, where you're at a, 5-foot tree with it and I'm just a seed, coming out the ground with it. And so I had that in government, music, I had that in business, even you and your father, and just so many different incredible people I just had to surround myself with. It's just a part of me as a person. And that's why, like, honestly, I don't understand envy, I don't understand jealousy. I only understand jealousy when it comes to like, oh, this is my girl, like I gotta protect her, right? I like a jealousy for the protection
stuff,
yeah, or like family, like yo, like this is my family, like don't harm them, I'm jealous of my family, don't hurt my sister, don't hurt my mom, don't waste their time, don't you know what I mean? In that sense, it's more of a protector. But I don't understand that I want what's yours. I don't understand that it should be me. Like, I feel like there's enough room for everybody, to go and be great.
Say that
and
again.
To grow.
It's enough room for who?
Everybody. There's enough space. Like, yo, I got my space. You got yours. You know what I mean? That's why I don't think I ever really compared myself. Sometimes I used to use my career and my age as a measurement with some of the greats like J. Cole, Russ, Kendrick, Big Sean. Like, I look at these guys and I'm like, yo, all right, but when Big Sean was 25, when J. Cole was 25, this is where he was at. So because I'm 25, this is where I gotta be. And that's dangerous in itself too. Sometimes you can use it as a small measurement, but not really. It's really dangerous. I recommend that you just don't at all. Everyone's on their own path and their own race.
That's right.
You can know that, oh wow, somebody did this by this age, so it's possible. That's all you can take from it. It's like, wow, you showed that this is possible. But now I have to accomplish it on my own time. I have to accomplish it on my own, at my own pace. And so I surround myself with incredible people because it just happens naturally. But sometimes I do go out my way where I see someone like, yo, I like to introduce myself. I love what you're doing. Let's have lunch. And if things click, it clicks. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And usually those people are surrounded by even more incredible people.
And now goes on and on.
The layer of the onion just keeps unveiling.
And that's what I love about you, because you get the formula. You know what I mean? You know, we had recently, not too long ago, Charles Robinson on here. But I met Charles Robinson through you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because you're surrounding yourself with these types of people that it's blessing your circle.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
and
right.
that's the beautiful thing about you, is that you're very humble in the sense of like, hey, I'm not trying to like, you know, envy you. I'm trying to say, hey, how did you get here? Give me those tools and those steps so I can now be on that level too, you know, and that's beautiful. And if a lot more people thought like that, I feel like we would be in a better place in this world in general.
Wow.
Just with that mindset.
Yeah.
But I know this great Nashbi didn't just, you know, appear out of anywhere. I know that you had an upbringing, you know. So let's talk about first you know, where you're from, because I know you got to shout out, you know, your fam. So where are you from, your upbringing, and how that played a part in who you are today?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say one thing and transition into that. One thing you said that I realized I just had to mention, the biggest gift that you can give anybody is exposure. That is the biggest gift that all these people have given me. With people, I don't try to ask for favors. I don't really try to ask for times or for opportunities or for doors. Sometimes it's just, let me shadow you for a day, or let me hear about your life. And me hearing and being exposed is usually just enough for me to be, you know,
I got it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so that's another thing I encourage everyone who's like up right now, or you might not even think you're up, but you have people that look up to you. Somebody's looking up to you. You're a role model to somebody.
Come on,
and
preach.
If there's some people around you that are asking for things or asking for your time, and some of you might think, well, I don't have much to offer. Yes, you do. You have something to expose them to. Everyone brings something individual to the table. And so that's been the biggest blessing in my circle. And with that exposure, sometimes it did come with benefits. Sometimes they would buy you lunch or introduce you to people or whatever it might be. There's some perks, you know, that's really awesome. But I never really went into it for that. It was just genuine, like, yo, I think you're an awesome person. Your spirit is different, or there's something about your spirit that connects with mine. I want to get to know you. I want to meet you. Let's spend some time together. Come to my events. I'll come to yours. I'll support you. Let's introduce each other to people in our own circles. And it just allows, I think, that genuine spirit, especially when God brings you around these people, it just allows for an amazing chemistry to take place. Especially over the past year, I've met some really awesome people. And surprisingly, you know, I almost thought I was in that phase of like, no new friends, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I got to that point where like, yo, I got my circle, it's done. But then God's like, no, I got some more incredible people as you're rising.
And it's going to continue to grow, so keep that door open.
and I thought it was going to get to a point where it's like, okay, everyone else is going to be outside the gate. But most recently, there's been some incredible people that have entered my life. And some of them used to be my role models. And now they're just my peers that I could just call. Like, I got mentors. I could shout them. I think it's safe to shout them out.
Of course.
Shout out to my mentor, like Bishop John Gray. Like John Gray is one of my biggest inspirations spiritually since I was a child. And now, like, you know, like we're like he's like literally like a mentor to me. He's always been my mentor before he knew me, but then the fact that he's like my real life mentor now is crazy. Same thing, you know, with people. Shout out to TK and Ryan. Shout out to, you know, the Gathering Spot and all the different people you mentioned, like Charles. Shout out to Naisha. I could shout her out. Naisha, she's like a huge social media influencer, especially in the Haitian world, but just overall, she's also an actress. She's incredible. I've been watching her stuff for a couple years. Now we just encourage each other in this walk. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of incredible people, and I want to say that just exposure is the greatest gift that you can give to someone else, and it's one of the greatest gifts you can receive from others as well. And so for people that's trying to navigate through the industry, trying to find great connects, yo, how did you end up with these folks and that folks? Last thing I gotta say, I'm sorry, this is so important.
Say it.
I feel like it comes also, which comes to the upbringing question too, just being genuine friends with people and networking across. It's not always about networking up, because a lot of my closest people that are powerful right now is because if I'm on my way and I'm grinding, you on your way and you're grinding, we started at the same place. We might have different goals, but you're grinding, I'm grinding, we're friends. You look up 5 years later and everything is shifted. I gotta shout him out. Shout out James Supreme. James Supreme is the vice president of Def Jam. When I met him the night I met Big Sean, freshman year of college. He came and introduced himself to me because ironically, it was all God, but ironically, like a week or two before, ironically, I DM'd him because my mentor told me about him. Shout out to Chandler Brown. We were both a part of this. I know, right?
I love it.
1913 was this ambassador program on campus, and my mentor was like, yo, you remind me of this dude named James. He's in the music industry too. He manages artists. And by that time, you know, he was a tour manager for like G-Eazy, Lil Dicky. He did a lot of tour management work at that time with Black and so many others.
Yes.
And, you know, when I met him, he was just a dope guy. And obviously he was like a mentor. But at that time, he was a tour manager, you know, on tour with Big Sean. And I was a freshman in college. But we kept that organic, drawing, awesome, incredible relationship. You blink, and now who was the homie is now the vice president of a label, who now is nobody you got to go shuffle through to go meet. It's like, yo, what's up, bro? How's it going? You know what I mean? It's family. And as his network grows, by default, so does mine. You know what I mean? Because of that genuine love and that genuine relationship that we were able to build. So sometimes it's not just about trying to meet that guy. Sometimes it's about meeting their assistant, learning from them, because that assistant that you might think is not as special or important, which everyone's important. Everyone's job and everyone's role is important, but you just never know in what capacity you might need those people in the future, what they'll become. I just feel like I had to spill that because I think that's real game on networking and connections that people don't realize how important it is and how special. And just treat everybody good, man. Everybody good. So, and then going to the upbringing question, I'm gonna say that real shortly. I'm Haitian American.
There
you know,
it is. That's how they
shout out to IET. You know what I'm saying? Sak passe nula. You know, I'm Haitian American, born and raised in Atlanta, but you know, shout out to Clayton County, South Side. But literally, you know, Haitian bred, church bred, 7-Day Adventist bred, literally just all the above. Like that was my upbringing. Shout out to my mom and my dad. They literally, you know, raised me in such a way where they taught me first that God was my father, you know. So even from a young age, I genuinely believed them that they were just my adopted earthly parents, and that I was like I'm really God's son sent to earth, you know, to finish extra work that he needed to get done, and stewarded me to my parents in order to upbring me. So that mentality growing up as a kid, I think helped me throughout my life to just kind of value myself the way God values me, to value myself the way, you know, the kingdom sees me, understanding I'm accomplishing a kingdom work, that there's work that God had for me to do in this day and age that I have to accomplish. So, you know, I feel like, you know, family, you know, God, my community, you know, shout out to the whole community, the Haitian Adventist community as well, played a big part of my upbringing, and some incredible artists and that you might not ever hear of that inspired me to, you know, in my music where I am today. I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but that was valuable.
You had to get it all in. And see, I know you well enough to know he gonna get it out. He gonna get it out. You know what I mean? And so thank you for just not only coming on the show, because it's a long time coming, but just sharing that. I remember before, you know, when you were first really getting serious about your music, and we had that talk at my friend's house, and we had that heart to heart. But that's when I felt connected to you, because I'm like, wow, this is a different person. Like, I'm like, I don't really meet young guys like this who are thinking the way he's thinking. And the way you just explained your upbringing, which is why I wanted you to do that, that explains this album. You know what I mean? Like, I am God's child. You know, that's beautiful. And that is reflected in the Glory Project. This is a project that you do not want to miss out on. Once you add it to your collection, you're going to play it all the time. You're having a bad day, you're going to press play, you're going to get back right. I'm telling you, this is an album that you don't want to miss. Now, before we wrap things up, I want you to shout out all your social media. How can people reach you? You got any shows coming up in the near future? Whatever you got going on, shout it out, and make sure you give all your handles so we can make sure and follow and support.
For sure. Well, yeah, once again, Nashbi, you can find me on Instagram, Nashbi Official. You can hit me on the website, NashbiOfficial.com, Nashbi Official on TikTok. Really just type in Nashbi on Google, Nashbi. You'll see everything show up. Thank God. We Googleable now, you feel me? So yeah, and then we got Bahamas. We're coming to see you guys in Nassau from the 18th to the 23rd. I'll be over there in Bahamas. I'm doing 2 performances and some special guest performances too. God willing, November 18th, we're supposed to be going to John Grace Church at Relentless in Greenville. We'll be guest performing for their talent show. I won third place or second place at their talent show last year. Yes. So I'm being brought back as the special guest for this year, which is awesome. And then in December, we might have some other stuff, but in December, New Year's will be in Chicago. We haven't even announced that yet. You know, by the time you hear this, hopefully it's official. I just got word sometime this week that it's supposed to happen. We'll let y'all know if anything changes, but New Year's in Chicago, we're doing a big show. So, yeah.
That is awesome. I can't express in words how proud of you I am. Wow. Like, you're doing your thing. And when I tell you God has his hands on you, God has his arms around you, okay? Wow. And you will exceed expectations. You are already a legend, but now it's just a matter of the world realizing it, okay? So thank you for just wanting to be a positive influence, letting your light shine. Thank you for being Indie High, which is being high on your God-given talent and sharing it with the world. You are the epitome of Indie High. You are the nucleus of Indie High, which is why it only makes sense for you to be on Indie High Radio.
Yeah.
So just thank you for your work. Thank you for what you're doing. You're an amazing person. I'm honored to call you bro. I'm proud of you. The sky's the limit. I'm just super proud of you, man. And in fact, I want everybody to hear this amazing music. Yeah. So we're going to end the show. Wait, we got to shout out Playback Sounds.
Got to. Shout out Playback Sounds. And we got to give you your flowers, too. You deserve your flowers as well, because you have been, I'll never forget when you had me performing for one of Indie High's events. Yes. When I came to meet with you at your friend's house that evening, I was like, oh, snap, about to meet this podcast owner, this music industry individual who's been in the game for a while. Like, I wonder, is she gonna manage me? What type of game can I get from her? And just how loving and humbling you were, giving me like one of those intro, because I was like a freshman in college, I think. Not even a sophomore. Those are those formative, very formative, sensitive years, And I just remember you being super kind. I remember you being super sweet, but I remember you also being super real and letting me know what this industry was about. The highs and the lows and stuff. And so it's really awesome to see how much you have grown. Your platform, and I know we out of time, but I just wanted to share that love with you and your flowers, and also just individually as a friend. Thank you so much just for being you, and thank you for your vulnerability and love and encouragement and support throughout the years. Awesome. Shout out Cecil Bernard. We got to shout out Cecil Bernard.
Shout out to my dad. I love it. See, that's what it's all about. I love this. This is what it's about. This is what I do it for sure. So we're going to cut into one of your tracks.
Let's do it.
We're going to do Martinelli Cider, I believe.
For the family and the homies.
Yes, so we're going to get that queued up and get that ready. Once again, this is your girl, Donna LJ, signing out. We got Nashbi in the building. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you, guys.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah. Get the medals out and bring a trophy. Martinelli cider for my family and the homies. The pressure's getting worse, I heard it's growing on me slowly, dog. Yeah, I heard it's growing on me slowly, Get the medals out and bring a trophy. Martinelli cider for my family and the homies. The pressure's getting worse, I heard it's growing on me slowly, dog. Yeah, I heard it's growing on me slowly, This has been a season of duality. Business doing well, but still working for a salary. Working for yourself, but you still be clocking hourly. I've been seeing wealth as a standard for reality. Climbing out the lowest season ever. Things will fall apart, at least the family's doing better. My baby broke my heart, but my seats are made of leather. I know these words are shock, cause folk think we still together. Never thought I'd walk around heartbroken. Plenty women trying to put it back together. I've been saying yes and saying no. You would think I was a professor teaching in this last semester. Every girl is getting E for effort. Thanks for caring, baby girl, please take a sweater. She posts my hoodie on the ground just to show she's super grateful for the chance, even though she know it ain't forever. Yeah, get the medals out and bring a trophy. Martinelli cider for my family and the homies. The pressure's getting worse, I heard it's growing on me slowly, dog. Yeah, I heard it's growing on me slowly, Get the medals out and bring a trophy. Martinelli cider for my family and the homies. The pressure's getting worse, I heard it's growing on me slowly, dog. Yeah, I heard it's growing on me slowly, Get the medals out and bring a trophy. Martinelli cider for my family and the homies. Julius bought a Tessie, so I said you gotta show me. Everybody on the team driving like we 40. 26 and under, so we giving God the glory. God giving gifts, I'm convinced he had it for me. Used to borrow whips, being careful, driving slowly. Now we taking trips, putting mileage with no worries, that's progression. Whole team eating we can tell if there's recession. Whole team meeting, we may have to use protection. Everyone got hands, but we carry stronger weapons. Angels looking now, I don't need the Smith & Wesson. Heavy holy smoke, God said anyone can catch him. We ain't any better, ain't no question, it's a blessing. Preaching when I call, people think it's my profession. I'm simply a man who for greatness I was destined and born. For the kingdom I had slept through the storm. Down in Eden I was preciously won. This life that I've been given will have goodness and charm. There may be threats but you won't ever be harmed. No need to sound the alarm. Just cause we won don't mean no weapons were formed. When you see me you see a man who's reborn. A man who's been on his own. But on his own he was never alone. He always knew he had a friend on the throne. He had a friend on the throne.
Indie High Radio, you get me. Fresh out of London, you get me. Yeah. Yeah. Martinelli Cider. The Glory Project. Yeah.